One rainy night in the province of Buin Kan, Thailand, a group of fishermen are out to catch frogs near the river when they discover a mysterious egg. Fascinated by its large size, the group approaches the egg. But just before the fishermen can take the egg, a gigantic monstrous creature emerges from the water and seemingly wipes out all of them. Eventually, the rumor about a giant fish in the lake spreads across the several towns, becoming a legend of Buin Kan. In August 2017, a woman named Lynn is seen preparing breakfast. Lynn wakes up her sister, May, and asks her to fetch their drunkard brother, Kang. Thus, May heads out and passes by the lake, waking Kang inside a nipa hut. When she finds Kang drunk again, May complains that she sees him like that every day. On their way back to their house, the two ask around the locals if they have seen their father, but they fail in finding him. Kang momentarily stops their search and decides to drink with his friend as May curiously wanders around the farm. She stops in front of a puddle that looks like a huge footprint of an animal. Shortly after, May discovers the same large egg a few feet away from the footprint. When she touches the egg, May notices that it is covered with a slimy substance. Regardless, May picks up the mysterious egg and takes it home with her. Upon seeing the egg, Lynn immediately refuses to keep it inside their house. However, May protests, insisting that she wants to see the egg hatch. Their argument ends as May walks out of the house with the egg, leaving both Lynn and Kang. May places the large egg on her bike and heads towards the lake. She watches the egg, feeling its movement on her hands while waiting for it to hatch. Noticing that May has not returned, Lynn and Kang go out to look for her. When the two reach the lake, they find blood on the water, along with a small pair of slippers. Seeing that May has disappeared, Lynn lets out a panicked scream while Kang runs into the lake to look for her. Just then, a monstrous creature surrounds Kang on the water and is about to attack him, but he gets out of the water in time. Lynn and Kang run towards the farmlands with the creature chasing after them. Soon, the creature reaches the farm and starts attacking the local farmers. While running, Lynn catches a glimpse of their assailant, which happens to be a monstrous creature that has a body of a fish, a long tail like a snake, and crocodile-like skin. The creature can stand up on its legs and move fast, killing the farmers in an instant. Unable to outrun the creature, Lynn and Kang quietly hide in the trees. However, the creature immediately finds them, injuring Kang's shoulder in the process. After much struggle, Lynn and Kang manage to escape from the creature as they hitchhike on their way to the hospital. Later in the hospital, Lynn is questioned by the commander of the police force in Buin Kan, Suwat. Lynn says that the attacker was not an animal, but a monster that she has never seen before. Around the same time, the creature continues to wreak havoc around Buin Kan, reaching a construction site in the city center. James, a police inspector of the Royal Thai Police in Buin Kan, is in the middle of visiting his late wife's grave when he hears about the attacks. He heads to the following locations to investigate with his partner, Wit. There, they discover the large footprints and blood traces scattered all over the place, confirming the existence of the monstrous creature behind the legend of Buin Kan. Back at the police station, Commander Suwat holds a meeting with James, Wit, and the other officials to trace the movements of the creature. They learn that similar footprints are situated in various lakes in Buin Kan, but they differ in sizes. James suspects that the creature travels through the water and only comes up to hunt. As a result, the police split into two groups, each led by Commander Suwat and Inspector James, in an attempt to corner the creature from its route. After the meeting, James receives a call from the school director about his daughter Pam. James finds out that his daughter has been involved in a fight and has been suspended. He fetches Pam at school and confronts her about her rebellious attitude. James asks her if it's because of the death of her mother, but she refuses to answer. Later, James brings Pam with him to work, driving with Wit on the way to their assigned area. Somewhere on the other side of Buin Kan, two Chinese students, Wei and Chen, have traveled to Thailand to study about the unusual events in the province. Wei observes the animal attacks and the abrupt change in weather that has occurred in Buin Kan through the years. The two then head to a nearby lake to collect samples until they hear about the news about the attacked locals. Upon hearing about the attacks, they rush to the hospital and talk with the chief doctor. With the chief doctor's approval, Wei and Chen then offer their help around the hospital. Inside the patient room, Kang wakes up after dreaming about May and the creature inside a cave. Wei and Chen approach Kang and Lin, asking them what happened during the incident. Lin doubts that they would believe her, but nonetheless proceeds to tell them about the creature and how the doctor still thinks Kang was bitten by a snake. Later that day, Kang and Lin think about their young sister May, filled with worry for her condition. Shortly after, Kang walks to the bathroom and looks at himself in the mirror. He finds both his throat area and shoulders bandaged. Kang clears his throat, trying to utter a word, but is unable to talk. When he checks on the injury on his shoulder, he finds slime all over his wound. Just then, Kang gets visions about his sister Mei, along with the creature. It is implied that through his injury, Kang has developed a connection with the creature, allowing him to see visions of its movements and whereabouts. As soon as he returns to his room, Kang writes on a piece of paper informing Lin that he knows where the creature is. Thus, Lin and Kang escape from the hospital to help Commander Suot find the creature. Meanwhile, Commander Suot and the other villagers of Buing Can have gathered at the other assigned location. Amidst the stormy weather, the villagers arm themselves with sharp melee weapons, preparing to catch the creature. At that moment, Lin and Kang arrive at the location, and Kang leads the way for him and the villagers. As Kang points at a small building, the villagers throw homemade fire bombs towards it. The creature comes out of the building, causing turmoil amongst the villagers. Despite that, the villagers swing the net towards the creature, successfully capturing it. The villagers are determined to kill the creature, but Lin intervenes. She informs everyone that Kang is connected to the creature, and that killing it would mean killing Kang as well. In the meantime, Commander Suot decides to store the creature inside a pickup truck. As the night comes, Inspector James, Wit, and a few police officials stand by in their assigned location near the lake. While roaming the area, James and the officials find Mei, along with a mysterious large egg. James lets Mei and the mysterious egg inside the vehicle with Pam, keeping them warm through the stormy night. Everyone in the vehicle stays quiet for a while until James decides to confront Pam again. James encourages her to talk to him, explaining that he is willing to listen to her. However, Pam is filled with bitterness towards her father. She refuses to open up to him, saying that he won't change anyways. Just then, a gigantic monstrous creature appears on the lake. In an instant, the creature wipes out the majority of the police officials in the area. James catches sight of the creature for the first time, frightened by its appearance. The creature lingers around the vehicle where Pam, Mei, and the egg are in. Pam, who has no idea about the gigantic creature the entire time, shouts when she sees it up close, but Mei covers her mouth. James watches in agony while the creature attempts to attack their car. He attempts to distract the gigantic creature by shooting his gun at it. Wit takes out an oxygen tank and tosses it near the creature. Afterwards, he fires at the oxygen tank, creating an explosion to stop the creature from attacking the car. Unbeknownst to them, the gigantic creature has been lingering around their vehicle in order to get its egg. The creature breaks the car open and takes the egg inside. Enraged, the gigantic creature attacks Pam, pounding at her using its claw before leaving the place. James runs to Pam and carries her to an ambulance. Inside the police station, Commander Suot finds the place swarming with panicked residents. Together with Fawn, a police officer who is also his daughter, the two calm down the residents and order everyone to settle in the central temple. Shortly after, Commander Suot receives a message from James. James informs him that there are two creatures in Buing Can, which turns out to be a gigantic mother creature and a smaller baby creature. He urges Commander Suot to evacuate everyone out of the area because the mother creature is coming to their location. Inside the temple, the residents of Buing Can dedicate a short time to pray together with the monks before boarding the buses out of Buing Can. Back in the ambulance, Pam lies fatally injured on a stretcher. As James hugs her, Pam expresses how much she has missed the warmth of his hug. James then relieves her, telling his daughter Pam that he won't leave her anymore. Pam smiles, finally overcoming all her grudges against her father. On the other hand, their reconciliation is cut short as Pam's injuries worsen. She fails to make it to the hospital, slowly dying inside the ambulance. James breaks down in tears, seeing Pam lifeless before him. Meanwhile, the buses are on the move to evacuate the Buing Can villagers. However, all the buses come across heavy traffic on the way because people have left their cars and started walking. As a result, everyone in their vehicles are forced to continue by foot. Just then, the gigantic creature arrives in the area, causing the people to run out of panic. James, who has just reached the scene, comes out of the ambulance. He sees a lost girl in the middle of the street, picking her up before he runs away from the creature's direction. In the middle of the commotion, the gigantic creature walks around, stumbling across the two Chinese students, Wei and Chen. After staring at them for a while, the creature walks past the two. Wei observes that the gigantic creature did not harm them and later learns that the creature does not intend to hurt anyone. He and Chen rush to tell this observation to Commander Suot, claiming that the creature is only there to find its offspring, which is the smaller creature they have captured early that day. In an instant, Commander Suot instructs the police officers to step away from the pickup truck that is holding the smaller creature. After some time, the traffic subsides and the rest of the villagers return to the bus. James also manages to return the lost girl to her parents. Lin rides the bus and waits for Kang to follow her, but he does not. Kang quietly observes the people around before looking at the smaller creature in the pickup truck. Lin calls out to Kang and stops him from going, but instead Kang gives her a hug and walks away. Kang aims to stop the commotion by luring the gigantic creature away from everyone. Since the gigantic creature is headed towards its offspring, he rides the pickup truck carrying the smaller creature. Kang takes one last look at Lin before he drives as far away from the area as he can, with the gigantic creature following behind them. Despite feeling dejected, Lin accepts his decision and runs back to the bus, evacuating by herself. Next morning, in the aftermath of the commotion, journalists and media outlets from all over the country came to Buin-Can. The journalists claimed to have seen video clips in online media about the unknown creature, thus asking for Commander Suat's statement. When one of the journalists asks about the identification of the creature, Commander Suat's spokesperson says that all video clips in online media are from a movie shooting. They deny all claims about a monster attacking people, keeping it a legend of Buin-Can. After the press conference, Commander Suat explains to James that he and the authorities of Buin-Can ultimately agreed on hiding the truth from everybody. Commander Suat points out that it is not yet time and that he does not want any monster hunter to come to Buin-Can. Later on, James hands over his badge to Commander Suat, resigning from his position as inspector. For James, lying about the legend of Buin-Can is more cruel than the creatures they have dealt with. More importantly, it appears as an attempt to cover up the failed response of the authorities and the overwhelming number of casualties, pretending that everything is peaceful. He then returns to his daughter Pam, hugging her close. Elsewhere, May wanders around the street, looking for her brother and sister until Lin finds her. The two reunite with a hug, while James quietly watches them from a distance. Slowly, the people of Buin-Can return to their homes, continuing with what is left of their livelihood. James pays a visit to his wife and daughter's grave, still filled with remorse. Lin and May also spend time on the lake, thinking about their brother Kang. From then on, the gigantic creature has never returned again, and nobody knew where it was. 5 years after the incident, James visits the temple and talks with a monk. As it turns out, James eventually decides to come back to his job in the Royal Thai Police just for the sake of earning money for his daily needs. Moreover, James reveals that he has been quietly watching over May, who has now grown older during the last 5 years. He tells the monk that he follows May to her school and waits until the end of her class. James has observed May performing a ritual near the lake along with a few other villagers. One night, James has followed her near the lake when he catches sight of the gigantic creature with her. He is confused seeing May casually hold and bond with the creature, causing him to finally approach her. In an attempt to personally avenge the death of his daughter Pam, James seeks the gigantic creature and urges May to call it out. May, however, only stares at him blankly until the smaller creature jumps over James and attacks him. James stabs the creature with a flare, causing the creature to move away. He aims his gun towards the creature, ready to shoot it, but May rushes to the creature and stops James. May pleads to James in tears not to kill the creature, making him put his gun down. After their encounter, James takes a seat by the lake while in deep thought. According to the monk, James has not fully accepted the death of his daughter, and it has been consuming him negatively ever since. He tells James that the true monster he has been chasing all along is not the creature, but the one that is inside his heart. The monk encourages him to get rid of all the remaining negative feelings inside his heart so that he can find inner peace. For a moment, James aims the gun under his chin, but changes his mind when he suddenly hears the voice of Pam. The following day, May leads James to the mountains and enters a cave. Inside, James finds the hospital clothes that Kang used to wear. Around the same time, it is also revealed that May is vomiting small eels out of her body. Thus, it implies that the creature is already deeply connected to both Kang and May, and that part of the creature already lives within them. Further inside the cave, James also discovers a statue of Buddha. He pays respect to the statue right before exploring the walls of the cave, wherein there are images telling the story of the creature's encounter with the humans through the years. All of a sudden, the cave is covered by darkness as the creature shows up behind James with a grin, seemingly waiting for his arrival. For a modern horror film, the plot and the editing seems half-baked. The film has a strong tendency to confuse the viewer on the storyline it wants to depict. On the one hand, the horror element is clear with how the monstrous creatures terrorize the humans. On the other hand, the way the drama is shown throughout the film feels too random. Not to mention the spiritual connection between the creature and the main characters, which in the end has no apparent significance after all. The plot's lack of depth is possibly the biggest flaw of this film, since there are many parts of the story that weren't explored and would have made the film less dragging to watch. Nonetheless, it is worth mentioning that the creatures look impressive, It does not appear entirely original, but its features are admirable and very well done.